Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be watching an amount of episodes of Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon, Dun Meshi, if you're nasty here of course, and we're pretty excited to be here to do just that. Now listen, I know that this is a two-parter. I know that episodes, I believe it's going to be 18 and 19, that's two parts of one thing that go together and would be nice to watch together. But I don't know if you see it on my face or not. I'm so very tired. It kind of started in the middle of the week. I had to travel for a family dinner. That kind of put me behind uploading the middle video, Apothecary Diaries. And then, yeah, I've just been struggling to catching up with work and catching up with everything else that's going on here. So it might just have to be one. And again, it sucks because I planned this out to be a two-part and I wanted to do two. And there still is a chance that I could still watch the other one. I'll just put it at a very, very small chance. Just, yeah, I need to get out of this week alive. That's what it feels like at the moment. But yeah, we're still excited to watch one of them. And again, if I only watch one here right now, that's still how it was released week to week, you know? Like, because episodes came out every week. There would still be a 1 week wait for when other people were watching it as well. So maybe that's okay. The other thing is, I'm sure you've noticed, but I have a new microphone. I'm using it currently. I'm still getting used to it, so if there's anything that's especially bad or sounds weird or I'm doing wrong or anything else in between, please let me know. Also, if you're interested in specs and that kind of thing, what kind of microphone it is, feel free to ask, because I'll tell you. It's not expensive. But it seems to be doing the job for my intents and purposes anyway. Either way, let's get up those YouTube comments and jump right in there. That'll be a good start to the video to get us under control here. First up, we have a comment from Bamps. Oh, it's just a cute looking cooking anime. Look at these cute and silly characters. They fooled us. They played us for absolute fools. You know that meme? That's what it feels like, right? I expected something different than what we got when it came to Dungeon Meshi. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I mentioned Ranking of Kings. I feel very similarly about the two. Start off relatively simple, then scope goes crazy and does a bunch of things you wouldn't expect it to do. It's a good thing. It's good to challenge expectations like that, I guess. It feels good. Next comment here from Heath. I believe Heath is our resident manga reader as well. When I first heard of the anime, I wondered if this would be the stopping point for the season. So at the end of this fight, stopping point for the season, you know, and then leave us wanting more in that regard. I still think it makes for the end of the first part of the story. The dragon fight is the main climax of that initial portion, of course, but now the story is going to refocus with the party committing and going deep into the dungeon again. Okay, it'll be interesting to see how, I guess, the next few episodes feel different in that regard, if you're saying that this is a really well-delineated stopping point. I don't feel it right now, but maybe, again, they're adapting the source material so it doesn't feel like that as well. So maybe that's just good adaptation work. We will see if we feel any tangible differences between the last couple of episodes and the next one or two. I don't know why my shit's so short today. What's going on there? Anyway. Bamps' final comment there. A little detail during the Farlan fight is that none of our four main party are hurt, so maybe Farlan is more in control than we think. Interesting one to theorize about. So you go back and have a look as well, and Heath noticed this detail, the same one that I wanted to comment on, is that Shuro was not hurt either. Thus, she would recognize him, thus, is she more in control than we think? At least some portion of her is saying, hey, don't hurt these guys, we don't want to hurt these guys. Which I think comes through in a lot of the facial expressions as well. You can still definitely see Farlan in there, in my opinion. Again, Farlan is now a really interesting amalgamation of a lot of different things, right? The will of the dragon and whatever, you know, bound it to the Mad Magician and the dungeon and that kind of stuff. Along with a lot of Farlan's... There's been a lot of destiny stuff around her, I've felt, that she's definitely important and means something to the world, or the Torden siblings mean something more to the world than we realize right now. I kind of get that feeling a little bit. There's a little bit of chosen oneness there, so that's a portion of it as well. But then there's Farlan through and through, the Farlan that we know from our party, that our characters know that our characters fell in love with, right? She's trying to fight out as well. Again, all these different aspects of her character fighting with each other, trying to gain control. It's all very interesting. I really, really like that is a writing decision. It's pretty cool. Either way, that'll do it for the YouTube comments this week, of course. As always, if you're a patron, you can access those at your leisure. People have paid me money on Patreon to be able to get this privilege, as well as many other privileges, up to and including being 1 week ahead. So, if you really did want to see the next episodes, you could pay me, theoretically. Many people have done this, and let me get up those people right now, and I'll read a list. Those people would be Annie, Greg, Mickey Babbers, Trails++, Adley, Anders Harlan, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Domobot, Ed, Fleur Nightingale, Fruit, Funny Fat Guy, Gloriana Tenebrae, Gus N, Heath, Hex, Ika, Yako Yavanen, Joran, Caitlin at 10,000, Clem, Nosta, Lou, Madlad, Max, Mish, Nick, Parnick, Pencil Sharp 333, Pseudonym Van Dyke, Ramen Boy, Ron Lad BNK, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Surrogate Corpse, Without a Net, Zach, Binchy, Hans Peter, Kelvin, Marsh, Aidan O'Brien, Jacob R, and Run Tiki. So thank you to all those people for giving me money and watching those episodes 1 week ahead of everybody else, and thus being better. Yeah, pretty objectively. Anyway, what do I expect out of this? Now, based on Heath's comment, I would almost expect something completely different. Maybe new characters? I don't know. I don't know what he means by this would be a good delineation point. I would expect a new level of the dungeon. I would expect us to be getting out of that castle area relatively soon. Other than that, I don't know what we mean by a two-parter. So we had a pretty natural setup for a two-parter last week, I think, where this one, I don't see how that happens, unless it's like these elves that have been largely foreshadowed as well. That would be the other thing that could, I guess, happen upon us, and then we need to deal with. Something centuries past is also being brought up, at least a little bit more common than in the past, so maybe something there. Don't really know what else. Don't really know what else at all. Kabaru and that Lyos stuff that we talked about last week, it's very pronounced. I doubt it impacts these two episodes again. I think we put that on the back burner, and that becomes like second half of the show, big important stuff. That's how I would structure it, but what do I know? I'm just a guy with a webcam. Anyway, let's jump into episode 18 of Dungeon Meshi. Discord, you can join the Discord and talk to me about Dungeon Meshi and subscribe and like the video and stuff as well. And advice on this thing too. I don't know if it's very good, but we'll see. Yeah, let's jump into that episode right now. Rightio, I have episode 18 up there ready to go. 25 minutes and 11 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy, of course. If you don't have your own copy, or for whatever other reason as well, Picture-in-Picture is available in the description below. Use it at your leisure, basically. You can click on it. It's a BitChute link. It sometimes works, sometimes. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's jump into episode 18, shall we? Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, Netflix. Now, I just checked my audio. Should be fine. Should be fine. But that doesn't mean it is, I guess. I'm so tired. Yeah. It was kind of a late early. So, like, 10-hour shift last night, 9-hour shift this morning. It's now 6 p.m. Not cool. Not cool at all. Yeah, and somewhere in there I was supposed to record Dungeon Meshi. I don't know how. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, I gotta settle in. Let's try and do something like that. I like Marcel. Stating the obvious, of course. It's always a good place to start. Now, based on my mathematics in my own head, it's pretty close to like 3 to 4 weeks till we're finished here. And then I know that Utena's done in like 2 weeks and a bit. So there'll be a couple more. Well, there won't be a couple more polls. We'll talk about that as well. There'll be at least one more poll. So if you wanted to get stuff in on that poll, then Discord is your friend. I'm thinking about doing not a classics poll, but it's some more older stuff, I think, rather than the recent stuff I've had on polls recently. Okay, blood. Okay. Oh, it's fallen blood, we reckon. Oh. Dwarven stuff. Ooh. It's almost like a sewer vibe. It's interesting that it's under that 5th layer. And why is it so cold? Great question, Marcel. Oh, so this is where the red dragon was initially as well. Oh, cute. Look at his little scarf. Oh, yeah, I guess it's been like a week and a half or something. Maybe 2 weeks. It feels longer. It always does. I wasn't bluffing. I'll do it. Great question. The king. Or summer ranking. A millennium ago? Whoa. Yeah, he's pretty important. Now, I thought this as well. That was Delgar. Yeah, a guy that turned to dust. I was there. I'm happy all this stuff has been confirmed. Yeah, that is extremely important. I thought everybody else knew as well. I don't know. If only we had an elf with us. Okay, 500 years at most. Good point, yeah. Something power of infinity? Anyway. I like the snow effect. It looks pretty cool. There's like that one part in Lord of the Rings where they're on the side of the mountain. What are we doing here? Are we going to subvert this somehow? Senshi looks cool. Pardon the pun. Who grabbed Marcel's hand? Did I see that right? Did somebody grab Marcel's hand? Is there going to be 5 sets of eyes? Yeah. Okay. Alright, we're in jail, but what about the people situation? Alright, some of the slight character design shifts are really fun. Look at tall Lyos, that's funny. Oh. Okay, so it's a creature. A monster. That's terrifying. I agree, that's terrifying. Among Us? I agree. Oh, this is really funny. Okay, this is great. Oh, I love the voice too. This one would be fun for theories. Oh, so he just remembered you wrong. Okay, we got the easy ones out of here. What's going to be the twist here? I'm waiting for the twist. It's almost like Studio Ghibli-fied Chilchuk there. Me neither now that you mention it. That weird looking Senshi. Gotcha. So there's some obvious differences based on what they copied and in their own minds, right? Why is he so mad? Well, a meal would be a great place to the Sasamangas. Good point. I was gonna bring it up. Like, let's rely on that guy. That's the second time they've done that style of joke as well, the kind of zoom in, really low fidelity. I don't mind it, I think it's a good one. I touched the mic, sorry. Mm-hmm. Oh, she gave us some provisions. How nice of her. What is this, like a, it's like a Master Chef challenge or something. Mystery box. Nice observations. Yeah, it's like an Iron Chef vibe as well. Business as usual. She's cool. This is a really fun segment. It's almost like somebody's view of somebody else in their own mind is better than their reality, which is really cute. Like my imagination of you is a better person than you actually are, which means I think really highly of you. Oh. Mm. I know he's just kind of bishy, like a little bit. Is the twist going to be these were all the Lyos's ones that he thought of everybody else? So he's got a really high opinion of everybody? That's a great frame too. That's very funny. Uh, oh yeah, lots of stuff. Their change of heart there is very fun too. Hmm. Yeah. Is he being smart? What is he doing? What is that thing? How the fuck is he doing that? What do you mean? Does he know you don't need to be down on all fours to do that? Gotcha. And there it is. Oh, he's cool, yo. Okay, this is tight. What's Marcel gonna do? Yeah, okay, good. The correct response. Oh shit. Not the pirouetting too from Lyos. That was funny. I'm not saying, but that's neither here nor there. Um, Finally leaves. What? Good point. I gathered all? Yeah, okay. Oh, so yeah, because she was the careless one? Now I'm fucking stupid because I thought it was the opposite. She doesn't know. Yeah, I remember she didn't know. Yes. Exactly correct. What the hell is that? What are you talking about? Well, there goes the provisions. There's a trail of rice? Some kind of creature? Oh, look, it's Senshi. Scary. Uh. You're the one from last episode, correct? Okay. I feel way more comfortable about just doing one. I don't feel like this was much of a two-parter at all. That's more of just a tease for next week. I do believe that this is beefy enough, just kind of following a lot of the stuff that's happening in the background as it pertains to the premise of this particular episode. Like, okay, let's try and figure out who is each person's representation of the other person, if that makes any sense, right? Because I thought the joke of the scene was going to be that all the three left were the three representations that Laios thought of the three of them, right? Thus, he would be the least reliable narrator to be picking between the real one and the fake one. Simultaneously, it's really cute because he would be complimenting everybody. But I guess that still holds true. He just ultimately saw through the illusion as well, based on certain esoteric factors from the rest of their adventures. Again, I need to rewatch the episode pretty clearly because it went over my head a little bit. I don't know if you could tell. I'm pretty tired. It was a lot of just sitting staring. So maybe it is best that we just call it here as well because I think doing another one you may just see me like going to sleep, which is not a good look on anybody. Yeah, cool. And yeah, we'll dive into a little bit of analysis on episode 18 of Dungeon Meshi, of course. So yeah, that was episode 18 of Dungeon Meshi. I think it was a return to what I would call the formula of the show. Doing something a little bit, fantasy-esque, using dungeon cooking as a concept overall, fleshing out the characters, being broadly comedic, being an animation showpiece, all these things that I've come to expect from the show up to this point, kind of deviating away from, I guess, the more serialized story stuff we've had recently, the more storyline stuff, like majorly important stuff, I guess. By which to say, I mean the episode was goofy, but I like goofy Dungeon Meshi. It's really fun. It's one of the reasons why I really like the show. As I've explained many, many times, the peaks and valleys of important, serious content and just goofing off with your friends, right? The best shows get this balance right, and I think we're doing a very similar thing here in getting that balance correct. Just, yeah, nothing but lots of praise. Now, the episode in concept was a little bit convoluted for mine. I feel like they went over certain things too quickly. I feel like maybe it would work better in a manga format where you're kind of controlling your own pace and can really try to suss things out yourself, setting up a little bit of a mystery that I eluded me at every turn. Now, again, that could be based off my personal disposition at this moment, or, it could just be a little bit fast overall. It could be me, it could be the show itself, or maybe you're not meant to get it in the moment either. Maybe you're meant to go back after the fact and have a little bit of a look, and all will remain, or all will become a little bit clearer. I guess I should address the, tease for the next episode and the twist at the very end. Now, she had a name, and I am blanking on the name. Let me grab that name real quick. Yeah, her name was Asebi, and she was left behind from the fight with Farlan in the previous episode, right? You could tell by the eyes, she would be the only ninja that's left behind. Something, probably smelt Shuro. Smelt. She's a ninja, she could probably figure it out regardless, but hey, you got these provisions, I don't know the context because I wasn't there at the very end. What are you doing with Shuro? Why do you have his stuff? Blah, 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 blah. That kind of thing. I'm guessing that's the direction we'll end up going. or there's something a little bit deeper, you've discovered something. That's not surprising to me. We mentioned specifically that she's missing. You wouldn't just ignore that. That was clearly a plot thread left dangling, and they've quickly grabbed back onto it, and that'll be the next thing we do next episode as well. Yeah, so all in all, let's go back through this thing and see what we can see and try to figure out the game a little bit more and see if the whole concept of it is even correct. Because now I'm thinking in my head, who's like got like the goofy versions of all the characters? Who's that's perception? Because I thought that maybe that was Lyos's perception, but that would be incorrect because there was a goofy Lyos. So he wouldn't perceive himself. There's only 3 copies of everybody based on everybody else's opinion of one person. So say you have a Lyos, there's the real Lyos, there's Senchi's version, there's Marcel's version, and there's Chilchak's version of the same guy, making 4 total, and there's only 4 of each. Cool. Okay, fine. We'll see. Because who's thinking goofy? Is it you? Do you see everybody in a goofy light? Do you see like a mewing Marcel? Like, because she had like major cheekbone vibes going on. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see, I guess. Do you think there's like a whimsical Chilchak? Anyway, we'll get into the segment and we'll talk about it, because there's a little bit of exposition beforehand. I guess I should say as well that people have told me that 19 is a big one, that I'll have a lot to say, so that's another reason why we probably shouldn't be doing it right this second as well. We open the episode with a pool of blood. Now, what do I always say about the blood? When we say the blood, it gets serious. So, as we progress further down, the stakes are raising, you know? That's all we can perceive really from this scene right here, right now. We immediately intuit that it's Fallen. She must have passed through here not long ago and made her way further down. Lyos still seems broadly concerned for his sister. It must have been a tight squeeze on the way down. And we finally make our way to the 6th level of the dungeon. It consists of canals made from tunnels dug by ancient dwarves. I'm seeing these as essentially like the sewers of the city, right? And then, okay, well, why were a bunch of dwarven tunnels the sewer of a city, you know? So the whole vibe I've gotten thus far, again, from the lore that I've been told, is that the dwarves occupied the land initially, and then they lost it to the elves, and then the elves gave it to the humans, and then the humans built on top of it, and that's kind of Delgal and his whole thing going on, right? So these are ancient dwarven ruins, right, that are kind of like the level below because we built on top of it with the humans, if that makes any sense. It reinforces the dwarven claim on the land initially and speaks to, I guess, dwarves as a concept and them having a pretty good claim over this area. So, yeah, interesting, just building out the world a little bit more. It feels like, you know in Futurama how they have New New York, which is on top, and then Old New York, which is underneath? Kind of feels like that a little bit, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, we just kind of built on top and kind of ignored all the history below it. Apparently the 6th floor is supposed to be hot and humid. We see it pictured here in the very start of the show when we lost to the dragon. So what gives? Why is it cold now? What has changed? Another mystery thread left to be tugged upon. We would prefer the cold to the hot, of course, because, you know, it makes it easier to travel around just in general. But hey, it's harder to follow the blood trail, which is now a major clue. We want to find Farland again, of course, and uncover the mystery and find the lunatic magician and all those other major plot goals. We also think that maybe we should run back past where we lost to the Red Dragon initially. If the cleaners haven't gotten to it, then our gear should still be there, of course. From there, the episode deviates into, I guess, just establishing things, right? Things that I kind of took for granted and kind of intuited by myself, right? Okay, well, Delgal, right? She's looking for Delgal. Delgal's the king. Delgal was also the guy from the painting. We remember the name there. We remember that the Mad Magician was there as well. Just makes a whole lot of sense. Marcel comes through with a little bit of that knowledge check. When it comes to Delgal, he was the last king of the Golden City, of course. That city fell a millennium ago as well. So does that mean that... That doesn't mean that the dungeon opened a millennium ago, though. Right? I feel like there's been way less time there. That the dungeon is relatively new, all things considered. Which begs the question, then how did Delgal speak to us and then turn to dust? Right? There's a big time discrepancy there, which still needs to be uncovered. Again, a major component of the dungeon is that it involves immortality. So, you know, maybe he popped out of the dungeon, wasn't immortal anymore, turned to dust, turned to whatever, died. That would make sense as well. Like as soon as he leaves that spells area. His name is also on a bunch of stuff. If we knew this language, he's kind of below the line heads and on the coins and stuff. This introduces the mystery that I brought up as well. So hey, if we know that Delgal is no longer here, he vanished into dust, then what the hell is the Mad Magician looking for? What's going on there? We don't answer it, and on purpose. We're asking a rhetorical of the audience, so it's in their heads when that question is answered later on. That's just like nice, neat plot writing stuff. Now it's in the head. I know when we get an answer to that, I'll be like, oh, that's the reason why. Laios immediately looks to the emotional motivation as well. The Mad Magician saw the previous king, the one before Delgal, be murdered, right? Be poisoned, seemed pretty distraught about it, thus doesn't want the king's son, Delgal, to, go by the same fate, doesn't want him to die, wants him to remain eternal. Something reason for the whole spell business in the first place, probably. Thus is feverishly looking for him, maybe not knowing that he actually has passed on. Maybe there's something in, oh yeah, we gave the king immortality, and, sealed this dungeon off. Now he can reign forever. And then he not wanting to be immortal. You know that old classic trope of the person with immortality desperately wanting to die, desperately seeking that finite kind of end to their life? Yeah, maybe it's something in that too. I forgot that Laios didn't tell anybody about his painting escapades, and, this probably really should have been something that he told them. So yeah, he knows some secret lore from time traveling that nobody else really knows, and again has that connection with the Mad Magician as a result. Now this is going to be a really weird pull, but it's the main thing I know for mystery writing, right? And kind of these really broad rhetorical questions kind of pointing out things. So we learn here that elves only really live till they're about 500 years old. So if this was a millennium ago, then why is the lunatic magician still here? Well, again, we've talked about it, this kind of immortality stuff that's going on with the dungeon is probably involved. But then as Marcel explains, that would be like using your own magic to, eat yourself. It can't happen. There's a... it's the you can't put a magnet at the front of a car and pull it along. There's no such thing as perpetual motion. There's entropy, all these kind of things, right? Like, that's why this can't happen. But as we mentioned a couple of episodes ago now, something the study of infinity and a dimension where it exists and that kind of thing that was brought up briefly. So yeah, maybe that's another kind of direction we could go. But the reason is we're mentioning all of this stuff now and kind of in a leading way. It reminds me of Danganronpa. Like, again, very different circumstances, of course, but one of the things that I really like about the writing there is that, hey, it's always stringing you along. You never feel like you're lost. It always feels like they're slightly nudging you in the right direction, and I really appreciate that from the show here. Just so I'm not completely lost when things show up. Makes it really accessible to potentially a more casual audience as well. Either way, our exposition corner is now over, and now the mystery is about to begin. And just for an aside here, I think the snow effect actually looks like really neat. I don't know how they did it. It seems like it's just kind of a filter over the top of everything, but looks really good. Now, Marcel was leading kind of running up the rear of the pack, and she gets her hand held as well. That's meant to be like an oh shit moment for the audience. Somebody else is here. And yeah, they've really built upon this here, really built up this sinister, ominous tone. Somebody's here that doesn't belong. In particular, this part here now makes a lot of sense. We call that to Chilchuck, and then we hear two different responses. Then we call that to Marcel and hear two different responses. Because there's multiple Marcels, multiple Chilchucks. Just makes sense. Even some of the sound design's really good. You can kind of hear them further away from Laios here as well. Another really good one. Hey Marcel, can we get some light? 4 lights appear. Like they're just giving you enough, aren't they? Either way, this is the best look at, I guess, everybody and all the different versions, that kind of thing. This guy's the most fucked up one. This would have to be what Laios would look like to somebody that's shorter, which is everybody, but specifically you and you. You're the short ones, Chilchuck and Senshi. So one of those two. Maybe they're all just Senshi. That would make sense to me. We go to our monster encyclopedia in Laos, of course, and he says that they're shapeshifters. Apparently they happen to be around his town in the past, which is kind of terrifying. I don't want to live where Laos is from. That's really bad. And again, Laos smiling along, he sets up the stakes here, right? If you don't catch on to who it is, they'll devour the original and take their place. And then, of course, move on from there and probably take out the entire party. So what are these three... What are these three versions? We have, like, tall guy with beard who looks kind of bewildered. We have absolute stupido. And then we have, like... He's a little bit younger looking and a little bit blushy. Here's my read. This is what Laos looks like to Senshi. Tall and bearded and stuff, kind of Chad-like. This is what he looks like to Chilchak, fucking stupid, and doesn't know what he is and just says, I must eat, and then eats whatever. Doesn't matter what it is, he'll just eat it. And then maybe a little bit soft in the features from the Marcel one because of the relation to Farlan. Looks a little bit like Farlan there, a little bit, with the blush and the eyes. This feels like, you know, those little things you see them in the paper or in a comic book sometimes, kind of like spot the difference. It's kind of like one of those as well, which is always fun. You see the one difference here already with the helmet, which we mentioned. So again, why do we think Marcel has these facial features and like really pointy ears and like super mega jawline and red lipstick and stuff? I'm theorizing it's you. That's how you see Marcel, which is... Sure. Again, maybe it's dwarf elf racism. Like, this is almost like not a racist caricature, but kind of elves. Like, really, really pointy ears, really sharp features, all those things that would be associated with elves historically. I really like the subtle change to Marcel's voice acting here. I would imagine it's the same VA, but they're playing a much older woman, right? You could tell it in the kind of vocal intonation there, sound like they're in their 30s or 40s, as opposed to Marcel, who sounds like she's in her 20s. Again, anybody in the party could think that Marcel's really old because, you know, she is older than everybody. She's an elf. Now, these ones aren't very fun to talk about. This just shows somebody doesn't look at somebody else very much because there's really subtle differences here, right? Like that scarf there is a muffler instead of a scarf, right? It's a different variety of clothing. And that Senshi has his little helmet notch missing, as I mentioned before. So this could be anybody, seeing anybody, just didn't realize these features about people. Specifically, Laos is the one that is surprised by this, so again, maybe it's his versions, even though I had the theory that the kind of final two versions were Laos's versions of other people. Am I making any sense? It's a little bit convoluted to talk about. Yeah, no, we theorize here that these two are out of Laos's memories, so never mind about my theory towards the end. There's almost a meta layer to this segment as well about, I guess, anime tropes and character design cliches and that kind of thing, right? And just how subtle things can change characters. Like, look at the eye shape difference between these two. It's an entirely different vibe. It goes to show the power of character design when it comes to this. Again, slightly sharper features, slightly rounder features, big, wide, anime-esque eyes, and sweat droplet, as opposed to, you know, this guy who's off in the corner, you know, really dismissive of everything versus you who's, you know, skeptical. Again, on the surface, the same character, very similar features across the board, but you can immediately see the difference. Again, just shows the power when it comes to, like, small differences in drawing, I guess. Now, the other thing I wanted to check as well is the Marcel hair situation. So let's go back to the start of the episode. I'm at 9:21. What did Marcel's hair look like? Yeah, it was oyster braids. There you go. Now I know. Now, I don't really understand this. I guess this is, again, Laos's version of Marcel, probably, maybe. I don't understand magic. No, but he does understand magic and has seen in this book before. So it must be somebody who hadn't seen the book. Again, I don't know if this is as fun for you guys as it is for me, but I like working this stuff out. Yeah, so I'd imagine, again, one of the ones left is the Laos version of Marcel. Maybe says that he has a pretty high opinion of Marcel as well. We see other similar differences between one of the shape-shifted versions and their gear. Just little subtle differences that catch them out. Again, pretty simple stuff. You have less lockpicks, or you have less lockpicks, I should say, and you have a really clean pan as opposed to a used one. This is a really fantastic shot. I just love the kind of camera between the fingers here. As Laios suggests, Dungeon Meshi as an idea to get more information as to picking which one is the shapeshifted version. Which, hey, it's a good use of your premise. Let's get him cooking, why not? Now, having Laios as the grand arbiter of who is, the correct version and who is the incorrect version doesn't bode particularly well, right? Let's think of examples of Laios's observational skills in the past. He didn't recognize the mad magician, didn't really realize that whole situation was occurring, didn't realize Shura's feelings, as explored in episode 17, as well as the Kablaru, they implied that him and Kablaru had met in the past and he didn't remember him. So, is he the best judge of character when it comes to something like this? Probably not. A lot of use of speech bubbles and thought bubbles this episode as well. I think that's quite effective. Get across information in a pretty efficient way when needing to, have feelings shown across 6 different characters, right? 2 different versions of the same character in some cases. We do this joke again where we zoom in on the low kind of fidelity version, and I think it's pretty successful. Hey, I'm worried, right? I wonder if this has a manga equivalent as well. That would be a cool thing to find out. I really like this shot. We repeat it twice as well. Just really shows the scale of the dungeon they're in as it pertains to the situation we're in as well. Makes it more widespread and all-encompassing and that kind of thing. It's really cool. Puts a particular importance on this interaction in a way that I like. Also adds to the... I'm getting kind of like Iron Chef vibes from this whole segment. Kind of checking on the different teams, making them team up, that kind of thing, right? Really helps add to that TV feel, right? It feels like we're watching an event. So whichever Chilchuck this is, I think it's really funny that somebody saw they see him in a really cute light. They see him in a really... because he's the youngest, he's the baby, he's got younger features on the face. I think that's the joke there, right? Is that in reality, he doesn't look like this, but in somebody's mind, he does. It's good. Now, which one is Laios' version of Senshi? Is Laios thinking of Senshi as the Bishi guy? As he looks cool and has really sharp eyebrows and everything? Maybe talks in a little bit of a lower voice? Is that what you think of him because you think he's cool? Is that something? In a similar way, I was wondering if the version of Marcel that's left is the Laios' version as well, right? Because he has a really high opinion of her and thinks that she would do anything for Farlan, something that has been proven, right? So, up to and including making this meal if it gets us further in our plan, in our scheme. It's all for Farlan after all. I think that would be a really cute thing as well. Now, this is something I should have picked up on as well. There is differences, or pretty subtle differences here we don't talk about yet. You're sitting on a crate. That's pretty important, right? Think about what happened in the show last time you sat down on something you didn't check for mimics first. Again, just helps the audience remain engaged and help the mystery remain a mystery to the very end. Again, I keep saying, oh yeah, what a mystery. It's pretty obvious. You're like the real one. Everyone knows this, right? Everyone knows which one's the real one. I just think that finding it out and Laios finding it out is fun. I like Chilchuck here kind of internalizing his own cynicism and using it as evidence against the other guy, and then everyone's like, no, you shouldn't be like that. They're trying to teach him a lesson in the process as well. Just really fun character writing. Again, you think, oh yeah, I think I'm this way, so he wouldn't do that, me wouldn't do that, but then everyone else sees you in a different light. It's a really fun segment for those reasons. This is another really fun difference. We explore this later, of course, as well. Proper Marcel, didn't know that she ate fish eggs before, right? She wasn't clued into that, and we kept her from knowing that. That was it was somewhere around episode 9, episode 8, somewhere like that. So this means that the version of Marcel that this is the person that forgot about Marcel not knowing, I guess, and was one that also knew that fish eggs were involved there. Now, again, I could go to the end of the episode and check, but Laios and Chilchuck both know that fish eggs were in it, so it could be either one there. I'm still seeing this as Laios' version of Marcel. The joke of this segment is basically Laios going through and saying the wrong thing. suspecting the real person being the fake for a stupid reason. It's good. It fits the trepidation that everybody had around Laios and his decision-making as expressed earlier. Oh, there's a really fun meta joke here as well. Is this version here... Like Chilchuck and Laios both see Senshi as really cool. So it could be either one there, right? So they made the really cool Senshi. But, you know, real dwarves don't look this dopey. Is this some kind of stereotype? It's kind of calling out the character design initially and fantasy tropes about dwarves and them being kind of dopey, right? Something 7 dwarves almost as well. There's something in that, I think. Yeah, and again, that's the rule of threes in that joke there, the third version of us thinking that the real version is the fake version. It's, you know, good stuff. Another really fun frame here is we get a bit of Laios' internal dialogue as he says he's stumped. He doesn't really understand what's going on at all. Okay, now I'm just kind of stupid. I'm going to chalk it up to being tired. I thought he got it wrong. I thought he was following the kind of tone of the scene, and he said, these ones are the imposters, and then he said all the real ones, and he was wrong, and that's why everybody was so mad. In reality, it's a mix of everybody being mad based on his descriptions of everybody, based on, you know, you're mean, you're dopey looking, you wanted Farland to die or whatever. And then, of course, the copies are mad because they didn't think that they were real, so... You know, there's that kind of side to it as well. It turns out reading helps if you want to understand things. Laios says that it was just a hunch that he thought this, and then, of course, the two pairs of everybody just get to kind of fighting each other, fighting it out as opposed to, listening to any judgment from Laios. Now, there was one line earlier that clued Laios off as well, the idea that this is a monster that's doing this, right? Huh. Well, we know certain things about monsters, right? Monsters always follow their carnal instincts as opposed to anything else, and they wouldn't really cook. They wouldn't play along, per se, right? So we have to think that everything here is an illusion, even the stuff that they cooked. Thus, if everything's an illusion, then the monster isn't the illusion itself. It's the thing that's making the illusions to go and pick them off later. Right? Thus, we start to intuit other things. They target humans, so they're probably carnivores or omnivores. They would have to be able to see in the dark and resist the cold. Some kind of beast that relies on smell and hearing. The monster's probably downwind as well, because otherwise we would smell them maybe. Or kind of smelling it out, because they can't see very well. They're kind of smelling it out and need to be downwind to get our scent. Also like this little piece of character animation as he's just kind of thinking things down, trying to think like a beast and that kind of thing. Doesn't want to swing Kensuke because he's not really clued in at the moment. To take down a beast, you have to think like one, and then Laios turns into a furry. Now, some of the animation and production stuff's really, really cool. And I love that it's all spent on a stupid scene where Laios barks like a dog. I think that's amazing. Yeah, especially some of this like camera movement there. It's just very funny. And again, almost like the stand of the dog behind him. Yeah, just really, really good stuff, right? I've lived with dogs all my life. They've taught me many things, right? I'm going to show you that I'm the kind of alpha dog. I'm the king of the pack. You're the prey. I'm the alpha. And the barking is enough to get the kind of beast's attention. Laios intuited pretty well that it was kind of canine in nature, and thus the illusions start to fade. Now, there's a really fun mythological kind of bend to this as well, as we've kind of got a kind of nine-tailed dog type thing going on, right? Again, people that are more clued into the kind of Japanese mythology stuff could probably talk to this a little bit more, but I just think it's a cool creature design, basically. Now, Laios is all in on the whole alpha dog thing and is going to, like, challenge it dog style, like, head on, which, again, isn't a good idea. Showed off greatly here by Marcel's facial expression, where she's just kind of like, no, we're not gonna let you do that. I'm just gonna take the beast out. And yeah, she does one swing of her staff and she fucking explodes the head off the dog. I really like Laios' pirouettes in the air there as well. A really fun comedic end to the scene. Just good stuff. Oh, she's cool too. She kind of like blew the smoke off the staff. She blew it off. Good stuff. I like that. Marcel's cool. There's a lot of things I want to say, but why didn't you draw your sword? Just, yeah, another really, really good line. This show's funny. Either way, now we're in our kind of epilogue wrap-up section. We're basically going to explain the things I was explaining before, the subtle things that Laios picked up that were the differences, right? Kind of about the fish eggs and the, you know, sitting on the box and the idea that Senshi would take too much of something. The kind of line kind of rubs you the wrong way when he says it. Again, I guess it goes to show the way that Lyos's brain works. He couldn't quite figure out the really obvious tells that the characters were different characters, but picked up on the really, really specific stuff. Again, talks to his particular temperament, I guess. There was also a bit there where Lyos was kind of playing with the tail of the canine creature. Are they like eating it somehow right now? I don't know, that's a little bit crass. I don't know about that. They're having some sweets right now. We're kind of ramping up to the end of the episode here, where we suggest having some tea. And oh yeah, pretty sure we got some tea in the provisions we got. Go to reach for the provisions and they're gone. And hey, it seems like our provisions have been stolen. Stolen by somebody who would be able to steal stuff very easily and sneak away. Maybe like a ninja. Cute detail here with Senshi picking up the trail of rice as well, trying to preserve the food. We look in, we see the rice bag, but nobody's in there. We see that Marcel has been taken out by somebody that was almost sneaking behind us, even as we were trying to approach them. It was almost like it was a trap. And we see Asebi. She's got her claws out, I guess, and she's going to talk this out peacefully with us. I don't really understand why you feel this particular way. I'm going to guess this is based on a misunderstanding around you not seeing how the rest of the fight with the Farland thing played out, I guess. I like your character design, though. Once you got the kind of face mask off, you're kind of cute. I like that. And then, yeah, from there, we're into the E-Day. A little bit of an underwhelming one here today, but I think it's a necessary one as well, unfortunately. Just, again, I don't want to record too much of the show when I'm not feeling 100% as well, because it's a good one, and I want to do it proper, do it a proper good job on it. Either way, I'm rambling and I'm fucking exhausted, so I need to get out of here. But again, this episode was still, even though again we're kind of shifting tone a lot between this week and last week, I still think this is a really good execution of what the show's trying to do. I think there's a lot of really clever little stuff in there, and overall it's just a really fun premise for a fun, kind of jokey episode. I would call this a very, very loose two-parter. The part in question is just kind of a lead into the next thing, unless the shapeshifters come back somehow in the next portion, but somehow I doubt that. Thinking ahead, I believe this thing has 24 episodes, no? Something like that. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Something like that. 3 weeks away from the end, potentially. And then waiting for season 2. We'll see. But that's the vibe here for me right now. I'm going to skedaddle. But yeah, thanks for watching, and Patreon if you want next week's like now. Goodbye. Catch you later. Thanks for watching along.